Hello, everyone. This is Renee Piane, and we are back for week 4 of Get Real About Love Tips with Renee and Clayton. And man, did I hear, hi, Clay. How are you this week? How are you? Well,
Thank
look, we
you.
matched. We didn't even plan this.
Right? Hawaii.
Hawaii, and it's springtime, and I've been doing lots of fun things. And the funniest thing is after last week's coaching or this tips, some women contacted me, and they were
Ah,
talking. The women contacted me, and they were a little upset because they're like, the men need to get their shit together. The men need to like wake up and be able to deal with it. I mean, did any of your people that saw your video comment about that?
yes, I think women anger certainly happens, but I think an irritation is what I'm running into with an expectation that's not being fulfilled in the way women are taught to understand how love satisfies them, and men showing up in a very different light.
Yeah. Well, we talked about what we were going to talk about today, and I wanted to say we went through the book. We were talking about my book, and I work with so many empowered women. If you're one of us, yay, Wonder Woman. I literally go to conferences and I meet all of these women, and they're like, I want men to step up to the plate, and I'm like, well, what does that particularly
Yeah.
mean?
What does that mean exactly?
Well, that means that they think that men are going to know exactly what they want, like right away, you
So
know?
they're asking men to be kind of clairvoyant about, before this dialogue really gets going, because every couple is unique. I have a different way of training than you. If we don't
Yeah,
talk about it, how can we hope for success in any shape?
absolutely. And it was funny because I was in the park with my dog here in Las Vegas, and I met this beautiful woman, and she said, oh, I heard you were this love designer. And she said, I can't find a man that can deal with me. She said, I can't find a man that can deal with me. And I said,
Wow.
and she goes, and I'm a high powered businesswoman. I make money, and I want somebody in my league. I have to have somebody in my league. And I was like,
She's
oh,
successful. Did you find her to be an attractive woman?
she was attractive. She was very well put together.
Okay.
And she said that she thinks that men are pathetic. They don't dress well. And she
As a
goes,
broad category,
yeah,
men are butted out.
it was like, whoa. And I said, well, have you ever listened to the tone of your voice when you talk about it? Have you ever looked at how you were wired? Why are you so wired so tight to be so competitive? She goes, I'm very competitive, and I need a man that can deal with it. And I said, well, most men that are, and she goes, and I have to have somebody successful. He has to be rich, and he has to have time for love. And I said, well, do you have time? She goes, well,
Ah,
actually, and it was just, it was like that. And then I saw her shift, and I said, I meet women like you all the time that have been given rules. I said, did you think your prince was going to come? And then she looked down, and then her whole demeanor changed, and she softened up, and it was like a part of her opened up to me. So if you're one of those women that is having these high expectations, I have to tell you, I've worked with the hearts of men like Clayton, that have deep hearts. But when I really go underneath, they just are learning now through technology, through the internet, through the privacy. They don't want people to know about it. That's why it's so brave of you, Clayton, to talk about this pain that you've
well,
been
thank
going
you.
through. It's hard to go through breakups. And when you do, the men actually take it more seriously than women because they don't want anybody to know that they've done it. They don't
Well, I
want.
think what I hear you saying is men oftentimes suffer in silence because we don't have as much of the close knit emotional support system that a lot of women have gathered around them with their girlfriends of various types. Men, unless you're on a ball team or something like that, you don't share that kind of stuff with your buddies. They don't want to know about, have another beer. It's like, yeah, we're not as well supported.
Well, a lot of them will say, go get laid, you'll feel better, and
Right. Yeah.
it's really crazy how they numb the pain with more pain, right? And women do it too. But this is why we wanted to say that all of you women out there, if you could only understand that it's our lead, we lead with our love to make men want to be with us. And I used to be like that. Okay. I was 45 years old when I got married. There was a reason. So in the work that I did, and Clayton, you did a lot of this work. you went back into the history of the different
Yeah.
types of, women, and you went back to speak to them to see how they viewed you at that
Yeah,
time.
how those women experienced me in relationship. And I went to the significant ones. I made 5 or 6 phone calls and had some really powerful conversations about just shutting up, me. Tell me what it was like to be with me. How did you experience me in the relationship? And one long relationship, she said, well, I saw you as very love and intimacy avoidant. You had a lot of love, but you were very protected. And so when it came down to signing on the dotted line and saying, okay, let's get married, then you would run. So I could see there was some duplicitous behavior in me that I was largely unconscious of. Now I'm talking, 30 years ago,
Yeah.
but the pattern has persisted in certain other ways.
Well, those patterns they do come from your role modeling or things that you've heard or said you were told when you were young. There was a male client who married one of my very good friends. He was 62 years old when he married her. And he
Wow.
came to my book signing and I said, can I ask you a question? Who were your role models, right? And he said, my father took me into the garage with my brother. And he said, I want to let you know that women will steal your money. They're going to take you to the cleaners there. So you should never get married. And he goes, the only reason I'm with your mother is because of you 2 kids, because I'm really not that happy. So women are going to steal
Wow.
from you. So he never trusted women and protected himself until he did some inner work to reflect that. Now he married a woman, good friend of mine, who was very self-sufficient, gorgeous, and she didn't want his money. She never
Right.
knew that about him until after she was married to him.
She was a different animal, but what you're saying is resonating for me too, because I realize my father had a very difficult relationship with his rather crazy mother, who
Mm,
had been raised under very difficult conditions. She taught him a lot of insanity about women. She was very like bipolar.
right.
And so I think he communicated a lot of this mistrust. He loved the feminine. He loved my mom dearly, but he was really scared of the intimacy of it. So I'm really starting to see one of my imprints that's very unconscious for me as I go into a relationship with a perfectly loving gal.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, all of us, I did not let men give to me because I was hurt. I saw the women in my family get hurt over and over and over. The cultures have different beliefs about money, love, marriage. So wherever you're from around the world, and I know Italians, they always say, oh, the men will do what they do. The women used to put up with that and, cheating and things like that. And I learned that. And take care of you. So who wired you? We want to know. And we also want you to know that men have it too. So the reason we're bringing this up again is to really go deep and ask questions about a person's childhood, about money. You can see the imprints pretty quickly if you're smart. Don't be angry at men, ladies. Be a part of the solution. They
Yeah.
are yearning for our feminine energy if they didn't have the right kind of mother, or maybe they were brought up by their mothers, right?
It was accepting and nurturing and saying, I know there's a good guy in there. A lady who comes to get involved with me, for example, it would be great if we had a conversation. She says, oh, your dad, what did he teach you about women? What do you come to the table with here? That would be not necessarily it'd be a vulnerable conversation, probably, if I was honest, which I would hope to be. But I think it'd be a really important one for her to sort of get an idea about what to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we go through this healing phase with you, you're admitting so many things. Each person in this world has to take a look at their imprints so that you come to the table in an open heart. All of us have them. I still have them. Today's my father's birthday, and I was thinking some of the things that we had to go through to heal some of our imprints over the
Yeah.
past. So we're going to continually be bringing you these topics to spark your interest, to make you look at your own heart and to identify these phases in other people.
Yeah.
So
Please
as
share
we
with
wrap
us your thoughts.
up, Clay, do you have any other words of wisdom? We have a few
No,
more.
we need to wrap up, but I think this introduces a great topic that people can give us their feedback.
Well, we'll see you very soon and have a great time, and let us know your comments.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Aloha.
Let's continue. So, Clayton, let's go deeper right now with situation that you've seen with women you've dated. You have dated women around the world. You have had experiences with different cultures. Have you seen any signs of this prince training expectation in some of the women from different parts of the world?
Well, yes, I've had the great fortune to work on 4 different continents, and I emphasize that just like no two men's training is exactly the same. It's the same for women. The culture, for example, of India, so many marriages are arranged by the families. You don't even get to pick.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until the Renaissance period in Italy when the troubadours started putting forward this idea that you should marry who you love. That was a radical concept in 15 whatever.
That's true.
Because it was an economic driven situation before that. And gradually that caught on, has become the norm now in Western society, at least. So in Italy, I have found that a lot of women are anxious to emulate the American model of this. Italian women are very intelligent. They're very powerful. They recognize their feminine power, I think, generally. But they're still learning quite how to balance it with the expectations of Italian men, who have oftentimes a kind of a condescending or a misogynist attitude towards, not that they're supposed to be barefoot in the kitchen, but that they're supposed to be submissive to their man. And so there's been a kind of a more delayed power struggle that happened here more in the 60s and 70s in America, where women say, no, I want equal rights. I want to be respected. I want to be an equal with you. And that's a shockwave through Italian culture.
Yeah, and many of the Italian men, even in America, I actually married a guy that's half Italian, but he had been with 2 women before me. Hello. That kind of got him used to the independent woman. Thank the Lord on that. But it was still what he was saying, and a lot of the men, ladies out there, I'm going to invite you, wherever you are from around the world, Clayton and other men we're going to have a man panel discussion with men of all different age groups so that they can give you their perspective. When you hear a man's perspective, it's completely different than what we think. And after,
that's really good. It's really great when women just, like a fly on the wall, just listen to what men are thinking, who have the willingness to be vulnerable and objective. I think it's very powerful for men to really hear women in that context too.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was teaching men, the first question I would ask was, who were your role models and what's the first thing you think about marriage? And you know what they said? They said, ball and chain, to be losing all of my freedom, to be confined to sex with one woman for the rest of my life. I mean, it was shocking. And I have all the papers. I used to make them write them down so that they didn't have to speak it out loud because they didn't want to embarrass themselves.
Yeah, sure.
They would throw them in and I go, oh, commitment. You don't want to have to be tied down to the same woman, to be castrated by women. Like, it was unbelievable. I would say that was a shocker. And that was back in 1992, ladies. I've been teaching men. And when I walked into that room, Clayton, that was the time when I realized that men had not had Prince training, and I decided to become that person, right? And it has healed all of my wounds about men. And the women, all you women, right now we're going to have to end this part of it, but the women that get the men are the women that are kind, they are understanding and patient with men. Wouldn't you say, Clayton?
Well, I would. I think there's the social dating, social online dating has made it a high-tech, low-touch society. It's really challenging now to engage with someone in a warm, authentically feminine and masculine without being hyper-feminine or hyper-masculine, but to meet each other on a level playing field with mutual respect, come from a loving and nurturing place. I think you can't go wrong with that combination. But it's really challenging for a lot of people who haven't had training.
Yeah.
To get there.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're here. We're trying to give you little tidbits each week to show you that as you open yourself up to explore yourself, And the book is my story. I am no different than any woman that's out there that was expecting a prince. Okay.
Very open.
I ran rapid dating. I was flying in and out doing media all over the country. And everyone said, if you're so good at doing this, how come you're not married?
Valid question, you know?
It was a great question. And I used to say, I need to find someone that understands my passion to help people find love. And I did find the perfect man. Now, I've been with him for 18 years. Actually, it was right around this time that I met him after my mother died. I slowed down for 2 weeks. So all of you busy people out there, I invite you. I'm not trying to force anything on you. And Clayton, being so vulnerable, he just wanted to share what he's learned from my pain. I have the same pain that every woman in the world has, except I did investigation with men like Clayton, with other men that hadn't learned anything. So
Well,
be patient. What would you invite women to do that you think you could speak up for the men in the world? And then we'll wrap it up.
well, to really look at yourself, what am I expecting my man to do? Am I expecting a blue prince who's going to ride in on his white horse and make my life all wonderful? He's basically going to bring me my happiness like a package. You know, I think it's a very naive expectation, especially in this modern age where we've got so much virtual relationship and men are not really learning how to be that prince. So you're setting yourself up for failure. I noticed in my life that I've had this tendency to protect myself emotionally by getting involved with and trying to force something to happen with women who are emotionally unavailable for whatever reason. It may have little or nothing to do with me. And so I have to take a look at myself about what I'm coming with and get real about love.
Oh, well, everyone out there, if you are interested in working with me from around the world, I do free consultations and I have classes, and I'm going to be setting up a book for Italians. I'm going to convert my book into Italian for you. It might not be perfect, but it will give you the blueprint to open your heart to true love. So I hope you enjoyed this, because it's really up to each one of us. The busier you are, the more successful you are, makes you more vulnerable to make decisions quick. Because busy people the people call me and they go, I want you to find me somebody. And I said, you need to do the evaluation. I can only give you the tools. But when you do finally really know yourself, and then you're so clear that you will not miss a sign that something isn't going to work out. So we're going to be talking about some of those signs in future shows. And Clayton, let's wrap it up and wish them the best of luck by being open with their heart.
Get real about love. Come join us on Saturdays right here on IGTV.
All right. See you soon. And please comment if you like this show, because we're here opening our hearts to help you find real love.
So long, Renee.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye. Nice to see you. See you next time.